Welcome back to this module of research methodology. Just to remind you that this video is a summary which will help you just to understand the notes uploaded on e-learning. Research process consists of series of actions or steps necessary to effectively carry out research. There are two types of research problems, those which relate to states of the nature and those which relate to relationship between variables. The formulation of a general topic into a specific research problem constitutes the first step in a scientific inquiry. Essentially, two steps are involved in formulating the research problem: understanding the problem and rephrasing the same into a meaningful terms from an analytical point of view. The best way of understanding the problem is to discuss it with one's own colleagues or with those having some expertise in the matter. Academic journals, conference proceedings, government reports, books, and so on must be kept depending on the nature of the problem. In this process, it should be remembered that one source will lead to another. The area studies, if any, which are similar to the study in hand, should be carefully studied. A good library will be a great help to the researcher at this stage. After an extensive literature survey, researchers should state in clear terms the working hypothesis or hypothesis. Working hypothesis is a tentative assumption made in order to draw out and test its logical or empirical consequences. The research problem having been formulated in clear-cut terms, the researcher will be required to prepare a research design. He will have to state the conceptual structure within which research would be conducted. In other words, the function of research design is to provide for the collection of relevant evidence with minimal expenditures of effort, time, and money. Research processes may be grouped into four categories: exploration, description, diagnosis, and experimentation. Determining sample design. All the items under consideration in any field of inquiry constitute a universe or a population. A complete enumeration of all the items in the population is known as a census inquiry. Samples can be either probability samples or non-probability samples. With the probability samples, each element has a known probability of being included in the sample, but the non-probability samples do not allow the researcher to determine this probability. Probability samples are those based on simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, cluster area sampling. Non-probability samples are those based on convenience sampling, judgment sampling, and quota sampling techniques. There are several ways of collecting the appropriate data, which differ considerably in the context of money costs, time, and other resources at the disposal of the researcher. Primary data can be collected either through experiment or through survey. If the researcher conducts an experiment, he observes some quantitative measurements or the data with the help of which he examines the truth contained in his hypothesis. But in the case of a survey, data can be collected by any one of more of the following ways. This method implies the collection of information by way of investigators' own observation without interviewing the respondents. The investigator follows a rigid procedure and seeks answers to a set of preconceived questions through personal interviews. This method of collecting information involves contacting the respondents on telephone itself. Questionnaires are mailed to the respondents with a request to return after completing the same. Under this method, the enumerators are appointed and given training. They are provided with schedules containing relevant questions. These enumerators go to respondent with these schedules. The researcher should see that the project is executed in a systematic manner and in time. After the data have been collected, the researcher turns to the task of analyzing them. After analyzing the data, as stated above, the researcher is in the position to test the hypothesis, if any, he had formulated earlier. If a hypothesis is tested and upheld several times, it may be possible for the researcher to arrive at a generalization to build a theory. Finally, the researcher has to prepare the report of what has been done by him, and then after that, he can just present.